I'm a month late to the video. I'm so sorry, but I still wanted to make a video to talk about Spider-Man 2, primarily gameplay and negatives. Of course, still gonna talk about the story, but like I said, is the main focus is gonna be gameplay because I feel like gameplay in that aspect, there are some things that haven't been talked about as much as they should, and also because I ended up loving the game a lot more than I expected. So much to the point that if you don't follow my Twitch, which you should, I ended up streaming the game for some unholy amounts, more than Final Fantasy 16. Thank God with 16, I had fucking summer vacation, and this game, it came out in a weekend, otherwise my college life would have been finished! Alright, so story, which is a complete fucking miracle, because on paper, recipe for disaster, especially for how long it is. But they end up executing it really well to the point that in our felt like they bit off more than they could chew, and all the things they had to juggle through, I personally felt like I walked out of it feeling satisfied with how they did things. Both the Spider-Man I felt like were well balanced in this game. When it comes to importance or relevance, whatever you want to call it. You have some fucking morons being like, oh, they made Peter look bad, blah blah whatever. Like I said, there are fucking morons who would rather prefer the stakes to be non-existent so that Peter would be like this perfect ass fucking human being. But the writers have some fucking sense. So the threats of this game do feel like, okay, it needs two Spider-Men, and I never felt like one Spider-Man could take care of it all by himself. A common sentiment about this game would be that, oh, I wish it was longer. Like, sure, yeah, I would have liked the game to be 1 or 2 hours longer, but I'm still fine with what we got. Because one, the pacing was really good. It never felt like it dragged compared to the previous two games. And two, like, from a quality standpoint, it did feel consistent and high from start to finish. No part felt like it was fluff or bloated or redundant. Like, it was really, really nice. So those two things, in my opinion, really help in terms of replay value. And which, like I had to say, the replay value of this game is really, really good because of those two things. Because like there are parts, like the non-Spider-Man parts, I felt like in a replay they would not exactly be that great, but no, I was wrong, so I'm glad. Alright, so now the gameplay. I'm not gonna talk about the traversal because praises that have been sung a million times. But rather what I wanted to talk about was like the combat and bosses, because this game takes on the approach of less is more, and it ended up working really fucking well. Because while I did enjoy the combat of the previous games, a part of me felt like it just got stale. It's hard to describe because I'm not gonna say the combat was bad. I that was fun, but still, there's that one part of me that felt like meh about it, and I feel like it stemmed from the fact that you just had like win buttons and you were just so strong to the point that you would have to fucking try to die, or like the enemy variety just didn't mean anything because of all the tools you had. Like, and I'm not gonna say they don't force you to play in a different way, but to me it was like the way I usually play was more than enough to deal with those enemies, and I could just web them, whatever. It was easy, felt brain dead. It was like, yeah. But with this game's combat, I actually felt like I needed to pay more attention. I couldn't just fuck around and smooth my way out of it, and I end up living, which I loved so much, and that was clearly a result of them removing a lot of the shit that you had in the previous games, removing the gadget was thank God they did, because that just slowed down the combat way too much, but rather make the abilities and gadgets more cooldown oriented. Not just that, the fact that they also added a block/parry function did wonders for this game from a combat standpoint. Like, the parry function was a perfect way of making the game more difficult, which I didn't expect because of how easy the previous games were. The question would be, how does the parry, make things better in terms of combat? It's because of the parry system existing, they spice things up by adding shit like crush attacks, which are these unblockable, unparryable attacks that are fast and you can only dodge, and if you get caught up in them, they do end up doing a lot of damage. And of course you have your like parryable attacks, which you can block, but if you get the timing right, you parry. And this game does a perfect job of you actually encouraging you to parry, because when you block you take lesser damage, which is better than straight up just getting hit. But if you get the parry right, not only do you not take some damage, you don't take damage at all, but also you force an opening On top of that, you can also parry like, you know, normal attacks, and that's so good, especially when it comes to boss fights. And talking about boss fights, the bosses in this game are such a step up from its predecessor, because in the previous ones, the bosses felt monotone and boring at a point. But in this game, they were like super fun. The openings were clear, they were well designed. Like they spice up, you know, they mix things up, right? Like one time they do some sort of attacks, and then, you know, they shoot the crush attack, or some other times they do parry. Like they keep switching it up, which is so good. It's another brilliant way of you actually having to pay attention to what the fuck goes on in the fight, you know, like that. And also the different enemy types, because they actually do force you to play in different ways. Like there's the hunter that throws shit on the air, like, so it's electrical or shit or feel or whatever, and they force you to get on the ground, you know. It's just shit like that that they did, like making it more restricted on resources, that made the enemy types matter a lot more and made the combat more engaging, because the gadgets aren't just press the win buttons anymore, but rather things that actually just set up things in combat and engage with it in different ways. I love that a lot. And on top of that, I don't know if it's just me, please correct me if I'm wrong, but in this game it did feel like the rate at which you get focus is a lot slower compared to the previous games. Because in 2018, I swear, just getting 2 or 3 bars was just like nothing, like, right? You're just fairly quick. But in this game, trying to get 2 bars generally felt like it took a lot of work, man. Like, and that's another reason. And that's another way of how, you know, you being more restricted, like, really fucking helped, because like you just can't take things for granted type shit and whatnot. Like, yeah, it's really, really good. On top of that, the abilities and everything, like how each Spider-Man play are really good. Like the, you know, the spider arms or whatever that Peter has. I thought though, like, they did a good job of making Peter feel as good to play as Miles. With like not talking about like symbiote Peter, but just the spider arms, like they do feel really good, really nice, because especially in Miles Morales, people were just like, wait, how are they gonna make Peter not boring to play after how Miles plays and everything, right? And of course, Miles, as always, was stellar to play. And of course, when you do get the symbiote, like the symbiote abilities are so good. The symbiote surge is like, man, Symbiote is a really, really fun fucking mode. I'm glad they did the improvements that they did. That was one thing I was like blown away. I did not expect, and that was the main reason why this game probably ended up being my favorite game of this year. It's because of the things they did from a combat perspective. And of course, the icing on the cake is how they handled the open world like formula. The open world formula, I feel like that Insomniac did make in 2018 and Miles Morales just got perfected in this game. They give you perfect reason to do those side quests, and not just that, but also to progress through it, because you don't unlock all the side activities like straight up. You need to go through the story to unlock them. So they not only just give you enough reason to go through the story, but also more than enough reason to go do the side activities. The upgrades felt like they matter a lot more. And of course, I haven't talked about ultimate difficulty. Ultimate difficulty is the only form of post game you have as of this moment, besides like this one side quest that you have to do after you beat the game story. And I had to say, ultimate mode is such a well implemented hard mode. Like it felt really fair, and at the same time it did feel like, okay, they made it more difficult. Again, ultimate mode, they fucking nailed it. I wish there was a new game plus, which, talking about new game plus, let's go with the negatives, because as much as I love this game, there are negatives to talk about. You know, first one being, of course, new game plus, or like the rough, which I think is fucking garbage. Of course, you can argue 2018 had no new game plus. It got it like 6 weeks after launch. Miles Morales did have it on launch, but it was a much smaller game. Yeah, sure, but at the same time, it's a $70 game, and it's not their first time making this sort of game. So, in my opinion, I think it's lame as shit that we don't have new game plus at launch, and I feel like it hurts its value, and it makes the $70 price tag look a little yikes. It's not just that, Also, not having the ability to change the time of day and weather, which you had in the previous two games after you beat the story, it's just not there. You have to use a fucking glitch to do it. Like, it's things like that that just make it feel like this game went gold too early, that Sony just rushed them to put this game out on October 20th. It's not just that, but also the bugs, because the frequency of bugs that I ran into in a game like this is fucking ridiculous. Of course, it's not too bad. The PS5 would load up so fast that to the point that when I complain about the bug, I'm back in the game, right? But still, it was pretty fucking annoying having to deal with the amount of bugs that I did. And also, like, the game would just crash randomly multiple times, and like there's this other visual like glitch, because when I don't know how, but like when I just switched shoots and like swung through, the game would just visually glitch, and it was really aggressive to the eyes. Sadly, I was playing on a TV, so I didn't record that glitch happening. So yeah. And of course there are other glitches, like people would straight up get soft lock out of the game. Like a friend I know, he just like got locked out of doing a side quest. He just can't 100% the game, or like he couldn't finish that side quest or get the trophy. Well, now he can, because they did put out a patch note which addresses that issue. That, and also the MJ missions, like her getting one shot was a bug apparently, which I thought was like, I was really surprised. She would live after taking one hit, but that felt like a bug more than her getting one shot, because like the rate of her getting one shot was so much compared to when yeah, it's ridiculous to find out that was actually a bug, bro. Shit like that, it does feel like it was put out too early. So yeah, that's all I had to say for this video. In the end, I love this game. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, comment what you feel, your disagree, your thoughts, your opinions, and whatnot. I would love that, and also love it if you subscribed and everything, because I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna be more consistent, I'm gonna do weekly uploads, blah blah blah. Like, whenever I have the time or really feel like, I will make sure to upload, and it definitely won't be like a 3, 4 month or 6 month gap. So yeah. Anyway, see ya.